Today I wanted to show you some ideas I had for printmaking at home with supplies that you probably already have at home, hopefully, and if not, how to improvise with what you do have at home. I'm gonna make my own stamp pad. I do have a stamp pad to use too, so if you don't have a stamp pad, I'll show you how to make one. I'm using pencils today, also a milk jug lid, some bubble wrap, really just anything I found around the house. We did have a school eraser, which I took apart, and then using a knife, and if you're a child, you want an adult to help you, I just put slits into the eraser to make a block print. To show you what that looks like, I'll use a stamp pad first. And I did find in using this that if I had something underneath it, like a towel or something that has a little bit more cushion, that I was able to get a better impression. I'm just going to show you a couple of... Now, if you don't happen to have a stamp pad at home, another option that works really well is using an old sponge. Over here, I put plastic wrap over this to help it last longer. But if you take a sponge, you could even cut it into a shape, and your sponge could become a print too, besides your stamp pad. I'm going to cut this one into a circle. So you cut the sponge when it's dry. It seems a little easier when it's dry. Put it in water. Make sure it's really nice and hydrated. This will help the stamp pad last longer as far as paints go. And then I'm going to apply the paint color that I want. I think I'm going to go with, let's go with this green. And I found it was easy just to put the paint right on the pad. These are acrylic paints, but you could also use tempera paints. The thing about the acrylic paints is you will want to wash out the sponge eventually if you don't want it to just get stiff and hard from the paints itself when it dries out. Another option would be to put the sponge in the jar of a lid and put the top on it, and that'll help preserve it for a little bit longer if you are using acrylics. And then let's see what this looks like. Oh, I forgot. I have pencils, and I did put a little point in the pencil here. Let's see what that looks like. So that you could have circles inside of your circles. You could go with solids. These are a little harder to see on the purple. I experimented too with putting more than one color on a stamp pad, or sponge I should say. I put blue, a little bit of green, and then instead of going crosswise to do it, I went the opposite way so that I'd have two colors side by side, so that my stamp pad would be more than one color. You can take bubble wrap, stick that on there, press nice and gently, and then it's ready to stamp onto the paper. That worked out pretty well. I like the way the two different colors look on top of. And then everything, when you're done using it, you can just rinse it off when you're done. That way the paint won't be permanent on the items, and then you can keep reusing them. Let's see what the jar lid looks like. Oops. And then the last one I'll do is, I tried earlier, I did this print here, and I tried to use the edging of the paper itself, but it worked out really terrible with the paintbrush. So I'm going to try it. Let's see what it looks like if I use it with this sponge as a stamp. Still not the best. But you can experiment and play with different items you might have. I also tried a paper clip. And then the thing that I like to do is, even with these experiments, if they don't work out the best, a lot of times I'll just fold them, cut the parts I like or don't like, keep the ones I like, cut off the parts that aren't my favorite. And that way you have like a little note card to a friend. I also feel like it always makes a nice grocery list to flip over and see some artwork on it. And don't forget too that you could go larger with these and make like a wrapping paper for a friend or a gift. So I hope you enjoyed this. Try to use the things you have around your house. If you're saving the paints and you want to use them the next day, I would recommend wrapping them in a saran wrap, or like I said, using the jar to try to help preserve them so that you can use them the next day. They'll only last a couple days that way. All right, thank you.